Hi, this is Brian, and I'm going to do a video on my NES collection. I'll break it up into a few videos. We'll start here with the box games I have. The ones on these shelves are the ones I have out. We'll go through those first. And these are the ones I like. I keep the ones I like out, and we'll go through the other ones later. So we'll start with 1943. This is an early Capcom game, sequel to 1942. Quite an improvement over 1942. It actually has music for one. Um, Very hard. It has some cool like effects for an NES game, for an early NES game, because this is '88. Much improved on 1942. 1942 is not bad. It's just not as good as this. It's a vertical shooter. Pretty cool. Early Capcom game. Doesn't have the grid box, so this was after their grid ones. And I've never beaten this game. I'll mention, for the most part, everything on this shelf I've beaten. I'll mention it if I haven't beaten this one or not. So next up we have A Boy and His Blob. This is a game I had as a kid. This is my original copy. I'll mention if it is or not. This is a game that I got and I didn't know much about it, but I was able to pick out a game, and I think I picked out this one because every once in a while I'd talk my mom into getting a game at Woolworths. There was like this glass case at Woolworths, and I'd look behind it, and I think I got this one probably there after seeing the cover, like a comic cover. David Crane made it, the guy who did Pitfall. Absolute Entertainment was his company, I think he worked for, or he founded, or whatever. Basically, this is like an adventure game where you have to feed the blob jelly beans to make them do certain things. So it's like an adventure puzzle game. I think I beat it once, but I could be mistaken. I remember getting to the planet Blobonia. Someday I do. This is on my list of games to actually record and finish, so I have a record of it. Next up, we have The Adventures of Bayou Billy, a Konami game that's just an awesome artwork. This game I like, but it's not a very good game, but I have fond memories from it. This is one I owned. This is my original copy as a kid, too. See, I actually took the UPC off for some reason. Maybe I sent in for like a Konami something through their instruction book. So as a kid, I had a real interest in Louisiana and the Bayou for some reason. Um, Maybe like almost like in the 80s and early 90s, like I was really into it. I did a report on Louisiana. Really liked it. This game has a lot of good going for it. Has different modes like a driving and a shooter. You can use the zapper and fighting. The unfortunate thing is the version we got is much harder. I do like this game. I've beaten it. I can beat it usually if I want to, but it's a struggle still. But I do enjoy this game. Adventures of Lolo I did not have as a kid. This is like one I got later, and I have never really played this much. I played a few rooms. I'm not very good at it. I do want to play through this one sometime. Castlevania, this is my original copy. Had this as a kid, love it. So coming from Atari, I think my NES, I got Super Mario Brothers 2, Ninja Gaiden, Kung Fu, and Castlevania. Those games were leap bounds ahead of anything in Atari, and probably cemented what I wanted in video games. Those games are huge for me in my life. And Castlevania is a game that still holds up great today. Don't have to say much about it. It's great. It's awesome. The music's great. And here's my copy signed by the composer. Uh, I forget her name, Kenua, something like that. I met her at MagFest. Very happy to get it signed. Moving on to Castlevania 3, this is my copy as a kid. Love Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse, one of the most replayable NES games that you can play. Multiple paths, multiple characters, you can put different runs together, like I want to only play with Trevor, I want to only play with Alucard, I only want to use the Leather Whip, I only want to use this sub-weapon. Very replayable. There's a second loop, which is very hard to go through. Cool little contest on the cover. Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse, one of the best NES games, still immensely replayable today, along with the first Castlevania. Chippendales Rescue Rangers is a game. This is my original copy that me and my sister, the only game my sister would really play, I remember. I did play it again with her around 2016 or so, and she still picked me up and threw me, which was kind of reminding me of playing the game as a kid. Great Disney game. One of my earliest memories of co-op with somebody was with my friends and my sister, and I love this game. It's not brutally hard, but it's the music, the level design, love it to death. Great game. Clash at Demon Head. This one I didn't have as a kid. Got this at I think a Trader Joe's flea market, some Trader Jack's flea market in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, down near Heidelberg, Carnegie, around there. Complete copy. This one has, when I did go through this and beat this, but I kind of cheated because the young kid who had this game actually made a map of the game. So I actually used his map. He actually had a password and everything. So I was able to bleed it because of this map, but I do want to play through it again. It's a very open-ended game. You have different routes to go, and depending on where you go, is going to determine how well you do. Because there's certain, until you map it out, it's very hard to know where to go. There's shops and different items to get. You can go underwater and such. Clash of Demon Head, fun game, not my favorite. I think part of it's because I used a map that somebody already made. But Vic Tokai game. Dr. Mario, another game I had. This is my original copy. My mom loves this game. In fact, she still plays it today. She plays it on the Switch every other evening after she's done with Animal Crossing, and we'll play it sometimes. I have very fond memories of this game because I used to play with my mom. Probably my favorite puzzle game on the NES, and I'm not a big puzzle game fan, but just not my favorite game, but I have just playing with my mom and everything. She didn't play a lot of games with me, but this was one she did. Dragon Warrior, this was a game I got for free from Nintendo Power. My first RPG I ever played other than Zelda 2. I think I might have played Zelda 2 first, but this was the version from Nintendo Power. I got Nintendo Power, got this in the mail, didn't even know I was getting it until one day in '89, or '90, whenever that was. I think it was '89. It came in the mail, and I put it in, played it, had no idea what I was doing. Went to my sister's choral concert that night and talked to this other kid, Chris, about it, and he told me a little bit about it. And other games. He had like Final Fantasy. I think later on I would play Final Fantasy 2 and see the ending in his room. So Dragon Warrior is immensely important to me. This is one of the most important games that I've ever played because I love Dragon Quest, Dragon Warrior. And along with Castlevania, this game, Castlevania, Ninja Gaiden, Super Mario Brothers, Zelda, all those games, I would say Dragon Quest probably holds the closest spot in my heart. I love this series so much. Dragon Warrior 4, this is not I didn't have this game growing up. I borrowed it from my friend, and I played Dragon Warrior 3 and 4 from him. This I got later on when I used to visit a game store when I lived in Pittsburgh. They had it there, and I picked it up. This is probably the best RPG on the NES. If not, it's up there with Dragon Warrior 3. The chapter system is great. You meet all the characters at the end, go on a huge quest. Funny thing is, Dragon Warrior 3, which we'll get to, and 4 came out the same year. 3 came out earlier in the year, 4 at the end of the year. So imagine getting 2 Dragon Quest games in 1 year. Here's my original copy of Double Dragon 2: The Revenge. Very important game to me. Didn't rented it before I actually asked for it. We used to play it with my friend, co-op. In fact, last year I beat this for the first time on Supreme Master. I've only ever beat it on the Warrior difficulty, and you only get part of the ending. One of the best games. I mean, I keep saying one of the best games, but this game is very, very fun. There's something about just the music and the sound of it, and getting that flying knee right. If anybody's played it, knows exactly what I'm talking about. Immensely rewarding to finally beat. And the ending tune in this game is great. Jackal, I never had this game growing up, never played it growing up. Wasn't until I think 2017 I actually beat this for the first time. My friend Alex Turbozone, I always joke with him that someday we're going to get together and play two-player Jackal because this is a co-op game. And I hope we get to do that sometime, Turbo, because I never played this two-player. Kung Fu. This is a game I got from Woolworth's department store again. I used to go shopping, grocery shopping with my mom, sometimes my grandma, and Woolworth's was right next to the grocery store, Bilo or Food Riverside. And after, my mom would take me in there and I'd look at the games, and sometimes I'd be able to get a game. Pretty sure I got this one at Woolworth's. And I remember she went clothes shopping afterwards, and I like took the box, the game in the store, and was like around the clothes racks and stuff looking at the box. So this game's very important to me too, just for that memory. Not the best game, but it's fun. It does loop after you beat the first 4 or 5 levels. It loops and gets a little harder. Enemies get a little faster. It's a black box game, early NES. As you can tell by the artwork, a nice, awesome box. No introduction to The Legend of Zelda, and sadly this is not my original copy. I don't know what happened to my original copy. Same with Chip 'n Dale. Chip 'n Dale is not my original copy because it has a rental sticker on it. I don't know what happened to my original copy, but not much to say about Zelda. It's good. It's fun. It has 2 quests. Play the second quest if you haven't beat it. It's like a totally different game. Mighty Final Fight. This was not a game I had as a kid, but picked it up in Pittsburgh at the game store again. Fun beat 'em up. You can only play 1 player, not 2 player, but you play as Cody, Guy, or Hagar, so it has all 3 characters. Cool leveling system like Double Dragon 1, but much better. Great music on this game. Late Capcom. This is like 19... I want to say 19... Don't see the date. But it's pretty late Capcom, as you can tell with the top, the little red sticker. Great game. Ninja Gaiden 1, another Woolworth's purchase. So picture seeing this at a store behind glass. I saw this at Woolworth's, and seeing this artwork as a this came out in 89, 88, something like that. But picture seeing this up there when you're 10 years old. That screams like buy me. And I did. I probably bugged my mom to death to get it, and this was another Supermarket Saturday afterwards purchase. Love this game, and it kicked off my love for the Ninja Gaiden games on NES. Yeah, there it is. This one's signed by James Rolfe, Angry Video Game Nerd. I had him sign it when I was at MagFest. Ninja Gaiden 2, The Dark Sword of Chaos. This was probably my most anticipated game of all time from my young little age of 11 or so. After loving Ninja Gaiden, having my subscription to Nintendo Power, as I mentioned with Dragon Warrior, they previewed the heck out of this game. They even sent another strategy guide issue dedicated to this game. I was so looking forward to this. I drew artwork of Ashtar, the main villain guy, and actually gave it to my friend because he was looking forward to it too. We both like Ninja Gaiden. Lovely game. It is not probably my least favorite of the series, but I love 3 and then 1 for the nostalgia. But this one's really, really good. The hit detection is a little weird with the sword. Sometimes it doesn't seem to attack a hit register, but amazing music, amazing graphics, and the clones are pretty cool that you have. RC Pro-Am. This is also my original copy. Probably, I'm not a big racing game fan, but RC Pro-Am by Rare is probably one that it's the more nostalgic games for me. It's a top-down racing game, and I didn't find out about this later, but the more you shoot the cards, the faster they get, so you don't want to shoot them unless possible. Hard as heck game, but I wouldn't say I'd ever try to beat it, but I have strong memories. I never really play it anymore, though. River City Ransom. Haven't really played this one much. Got it at probably that same flea market or maybe a store somewhere. But I need to give this one a shot. So this is on my list of games to actually beat. I had a friend of a friend who really liked that game though. Rockin' Cats, this was another game I didn't have, but I picked it up later. This is a fun game that has like multiple and another ending. If you beat the main game, it gives you a super extra hard level that introduces like you have to really master what you've learned. Really fun game by Atlas. Super Mario Brothers 2. This is, I said, Dragon Quest. You know, I get Ninja Gaiden, Dragon Quest, or Dragon Warrior, Castlevania, Super Mario, Zelda. Super Mario Brothers 2 was the game that really made me want an NES. Coming from Atari and seeing Super Mario Brothers 2, it was amazing to me, and I really, really love this game. One of the best Mario games of all time, one of the best NES games of all time. Just so creative and just amazing all around. The music's great, the ending's great. Super Mario Brothers 3, not much to say about this. I remember my cousin got it, but when I got this game, I remember my cousin lived down the hill from me. I remember holding this up and running down to show him. Great game, not much else to say about Super Mario Brothers 3, but yeah, it's great. Turtles 2, the arcade game. This is another game I had growing up. Played this co-op with my cousin a bit. Very fun game. It adds extra levels from the arcade game. Very, very good. Not much to say about it. Of the 3 Turtles games, this is probably my least favorite, although it's still good. I love Turtles 3. I think Turtles 3 improves upon this one, and I didn't have that one as a kid. Didn't play it until much later. And Turtles 1 is just so different and so more... It's just such a more to it than Turtles 2 and Turtles 3. Wrath of the Black Manta I didn't have. I rented it once. Remember a little about it. This is one I just picked up for a few bucks. This is another one I have to get to sometime. The sprites on this were pretty awesome. I remember one big sprite in a magazine being this big bald guy. I don't have him here, but if you type Wrath of the Black Manta bald guy, you'll see it. It's like looks like a bald dad. Yoshi's Cookie, this one was a gift from my friend TurboZone, Alex. He sent it to me along with another game that we'll get to much later. But this is a puzzle game. I'm not quite sure how to play it, but Alex, thank you, Alex, for the Yoshi's Cookie. Next up, we'll get into the cartridge games, and there's quite a few here. These are the ones that we will really start and get to. I might break this up into a little bit more because it's going to be a little long. Adventure Island. So all these games on these shelves I've beaten, or at least I've beaten all these games, and I like or want to keep or hang on to. Adventure Island, hard as heck. Of the 3 Adventure Island games, my least favorite. Platformer Master Higgins. Adventure Island 2 improves upon the first. You have dinosaurs as well. Adventure Island 3, much between 2 and 3, they're pretty much the same. 3 is a little bit bigger, has multiple paths to go, so you can skip a lot of levels. Adventures of Tom Sawyer, surprisingly good. Hard, but once you get used to because it's one-hit death, but once you get past that first level, game hooked me a little bit. Not great, but surprisingly good. Amagon, that Sammy game. My cousin had this. I remember liking the music. I beat it for the first time last year. It was an experience, hard as heck, but there is tricks to doing it. You got to save off your turning into your big buff guy until the last moment. Not the best NES game, but I'm glad I beat it. I guess that's one. Akira's Ring is one that has multiple loops. I only did the first loop. Kind of a top-down adventure game where you get like rings and keys or something. Decent music. It's fun. It's like a top-down adventure game with multiple rooms. I don't know how many levels are there, but it does loop. A Stein axe. This is another one my cousin had. It's almost like Legendary Axe on Turbo graphics, made by the same guy, I think. Um, the sprite is huge, and you're this kid. You're supposed to be a teenager, but in the cutscenes and in game, you look huge, like you're on steroids or something. Bad Dudes. Ah, man, I beat this game. This game is not good, but there's something about it being that a game that I rented that I enjoy. It's a beat 'em up, and it has Karnov. Karnov's cool, right? Batman on the NES, great game, great music, great gimmick to it, climbing and jumping on walls. Yeah, very fun game. If you haven't played Batman, give it a shot. Really, really good game. Top level Sunsoft music too, because Sunsoft did it. Speaking of top level music, we have if I can get it out, Batman Return the Joker. I have yet to find a Batman Return the Joker with a decent label. Every time I see this game, it has a terrible label, mine included. Great Sunsoft game, huge sprites. This is could almost be mistaken for a early 16-bit game. And the soundtrack on this is wonderful. Play as Batman, only you have 3 different types of weapons, and you shoot, and the enemies have hit points that decrease. Or the bosses have hit points that decrease. Very good game. Batman Returns, based on the movie, a beat 'em up where you go through Gotham City and movie locations. Not great, but it's fun enough. Battle of Olympus. This is a game that I didn't play until a few years ago, maybe 3 years ago. It's funny, this game came up, pictures from passwords I have on my computer, on my phone. It says, remember this game 3 years ago, and it had a picture, or remember this from 3 years ago, memories, and it had a picture of the password. Great game. If you like adventure games like Zelda 2, or maybe Legacy of the Wizard, or Crystallis or Faxanadu, give yourself a shot at Battle of Olympus. Surprisingly well translated, great game. Hard, but it's doable, and you don't really get lost too much in this game. There was one part where I did, but I think there's surprisingly not a lot. Bionic Commando. This is another classic Capcom game where you don't jump, but you use once you get into the hang of swinging from your bionic arm, it's very, very cool. Very, very addicting. Great music. It has like a map where here's a tip, farm the top-down sections on the map to get extra continues to help you get through the game. Next up, Blaster Master. So I'll mention if I had these as a kid. I didn't have this one as a kid, didn't play it until much later. Hard game. I wish it had unlimited continues, and I wish that when you get hit, it didn't take away your gun, because that's really frustrating. If you keep your gun up the whole time, the game's not too difficult, but if you lose your gun, man, is it hard. I beat this game for the first time maybe 3 years ago, and each time I'd get pretty far to the underwater section and my game would lock up, so I'd have to restart it. That happened twice. I finally beat it. Finally glad I played through it. Man, if I were to replay it again, I'd have to relearn everything. Sunsoft music too. Great music. Bucky O'Hare, never had this game, never played this game, never beat it until past 3, 4, or 5 years, something like that. Late Konami game. I think the guys who did the Treasure developers worked on this before they bumped out into Treasure. Great game, great music. Unlimited Lives has a hard mode if you want that. I never did that, but man, this game is so inventive and creative. It feels like a Treasure game. It does feel like a Treasure game quite a bit. It's like one of the earliest ones, I think. It was rumored that the Treasure guys worked on it. Burai Fighter. This is a Ken Loeb game when he was working at Taxon. And Ken Loeb did games where he was really good games, so he put multiple endings in. This is one of them. It's a shooter where you can aim and lock your position and shoot multiple ways. So I beat this game. I'm not great at shooters, but I did beat the normal mode. This has like 3 or 4 different modes. Like Ken Loeb liked to put all that stuff in, or not Ken, or those people. I think he liked to put those multiple endings in. Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest. My cousin had this game. Very atmospheric game. I loved this game as a kid. Could never get far. I will say this game gets a bad rap. It's very fun, very playable, especially now with the the big secrets with the cryptic tornado and stuff. As a kid, I knew about that, but still never beat it because of Nintendo Power. Just everybody knew that, so I never really held that against it. The music, the graphics, everything about this game is great, and once you know what to do, it's not very hard either. Rescue Rangers 2, I didn't get this until much later. In fact, my old boss, when I left, he was selling some stuff, and I bought this from him. Not as good as the first, but fun. Codename Viper. This is almost like Rolling Thunder clone. Rolling Thunder is like a tall, skinny guy that shoots and one-hit deaths. This is much like that, only it has a cool story that you piece together a note, and there's like a twist at the end. I only beat it on easy. There's a normal or hard, I think. I never beat him, and I had trouble with the final boss, though. Another early Capcom game before they started making their own original IPs. This is Commando, and it changes a little from the arcade game where you go in these little pits and you save soldiers and stuff. It loops a lot, like the levels are the same, but I did beat it the first time I played through it. I'm not saying I'm great or anything, but it's not too terribly difficult that I remember, but it's not great either. It's a very early Capcom game. Conquest of the Crystal Palace, Asmik. I don't know who developed it, but great music is what I remember. And you have a dog that I couldn't remember last time I was playing how to call the dog out. I did beat this. There is like a cool song in this game that sounds like a newscast from this lady, this Chinese or this Japanese lady with pigtails. Great game. When you start out, you can pick either to have higher jump, more health, or more attack power, and that sticks with you throughout the game. Contra, my cousin had this. I never had this. Always beat it with the 30 lives code. I did beat it legitimately with just the 3 lives. I haven't done it in a while though, so I'd have to re-practice it. Not much to say about Contra. Super C, I probably like a little bit more than Contra, just for that opening level where it drops you off the helicopter and it's like that's awesome. The soundtrack in this is really good. The levels are great. Great game. I do like Super C probably a little bit more than original Contra, but it's tough. Contra Force, this is not really a Contra game, but they put a Contra name on it. It was like Arkhound, never released in Japan, only over here. This game is not great, but it's not as bad as everybody would lead you to believe. Most of the problem is the slowdown in it is really, really slow. But it's actually not that bad. It's not great either, though, but it's not bad. And my battery is going to run out soon, so if it does, I think I'm going to cut it here at 30 minutes. And we'll get to the other games on my other shelf here soon. So thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.